Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have something really cool to take a look at today. It's not too often that we go and time travel back to the Raptor series from the beasts of the Mesozoic, but we are going to do that today as we have a figure that is a brand new addition to my collection, and it is probably one of my most wanted raptors out of all of them, although there are still quite a bit of raptors I would love to get my hands on. Definitely some more really good species that I unfortunately haven't added to my collection. I didn't go crazy with the Raptor series because it was so brand new, I wasn't sure how they were going to be, and I wasn't collecting dinosaurs quite as much as I am now back then, so I didn't get every raptor like I did with the Ceratopsian series and fully intend on doing with the Tyrannosaur series. So now I'm kind of trying to catch up as time goes on and get some of the raptors. Obviously some just aren't going to happen as there were exclusives and stuff that I missed out on, but this is one that I really wanted to get a hold of, one that I was beyond excited about and never actually was able to until just recently, even though it's a little tough to see as per usual because of the glare coming off of the window area. But if you take a look over here at the area of the art that we have, it's the Pyroraptor Olympius, and this is one that I felt like overall was one of the most visually appealing out of the entire line. Like, I was just a huge fan of the color scheme that they came up with for this particular figure. Not to mention, it's a Pyroraptor, so how could you not want it? It's not like we have very many Pyroraptor figures out there. So again, I really wanted to get a hold of this one. I recently purchased it, and very happy to have it now here to review. You can see it is the fan's choice version as far as the paintwork goes. And then here on the back, we can see a few of the other fan's choice raptors that are available. And I don't have too many of them, honestly. There's a whole lot I really need to get a hold of. So hopefully as time goes on, I'll be able to do that. Over here, we have a really nice image of some more, again, of the Pyroraptor art. And then this is kind of like a little slip cover type thing here. And if we actually push it over, you can see basically how you put the figure together, some of the extras and stuff like the extra interchangeable toes and things like that. So definitely psyched to get this one out of the packaging. So let's pop it out right now and check out this beautiful looking Pyroraptor. So we also have interchangeable toes that are in the packaging right there. We're not going to go ahead and get those out because I'm pretty happy with the toes that are on the Raptor currently. And then we've got our base right here, looking really nice as always. And then our incredible looking Pyroraptor. And again, like I was saying, the paint scheme of this one is so nice looking. I just love the tones of color they've given it. Really nice, realistic, nice, naturalistic tones of color for the Raptor, and you can see that it's all very nice and vibrant as far as the coloration goes. Another very cool Raptor species here to enter my collection. I don't know if I have any Pyroraptor figures actually, so this might be the very first one entering my collection. And it's crazy to look back at the Raptor series and see how nice they were back then, but just to get an idea of how much the line has improved even since the Raptor series. Like, these were, in my opinion, like revolutionary figures when it comes to the dinosaur collecting community, and they've somehow even gotten better with the Ceratopsian series, and I feel like they're definitely going to be even better with the Tyrannosaur series. But I'm very interested in getting a closer look at this, so let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that we have some beautiful texturing to the skin here in the snout of our Pyroraptor, and they've also given it a nice black coloration, and very nicely and very lightly dry brushed some gray over the skin texture to help make that skin texture pop quite beautifully. Something that the beasts of the Mesozoic line is exceptionally good at is highlighting detail when it comes to dry brushing and washes. You can see that the darker coloration also runs down here into the lower jaw, basically for the tip of the lower jaw before transitioning to a beautiful brown. And it's kind of like variations between reddish and orangish browns. Like, if you look up here a little bit further, first of all, you can see a little white, and then you see some red and yellow and stuff in there. But you can see how it's like a nice healthy dose of mixtures of orangish, yellowish, and reddish browns all throughout the face. Again, as per usual when it comes to the beasts of the Mesozoic line, creating so many different tones of color for the figures, helping to make them look very lifelike and realistic. You can also see a little hint of like some white and yellow that runs out here into the skin textured area of the face, which I definitely think looks cool. You can see some beautiful feather detail here for the top of the head of the Pyroraptor, painted again with a black, also dry brushed over quite nicely. And then you have another streak of the mixture of kind of reds and yellows right there, before transitioning down here to another streak of the black, which also again has some nice dry brushing over it. And then again back down here to the mixture of reds, oranges, browns, yellows, all kinds of stuff right there. Lots of really nice coloration. The eye is painted with a nice yellow coloration, also sports some reddish tones in there and given a nice black pupil. It is really beautifully and very realistically glossed, so it shines like a real eye would. The mouth is articulated as always, as is the tongue actually. You can move the tongue, so you can see right there how the tongue moves. And the inside of the mouth looks great. You have some really nicely sculpted and really nicely painted teeth. Zero sloppiness at all when it comes to the paintwork of this line, which is one of the many reasons that I absolutely adore the Beasts of the Mesozoic line. The paintwork is so precise and so picture perfect continuously, although the tongue is crooked right now because of the way I articulated it. See, that's another cool thing. You can actually articulate the tongue left and right, so like you can really create some very interesting positions for your raptor. But you can see the tongue itself is also very nicely sculpted. Beautiful, kind of a dark pinkish tone of color for the inside of the mouth. The tongue is a slightly different shade, more of like a purple, and then we have like a pinkish purple type of a color here for the rest of the mouth. So very nicely done, and as per usual, the articulation is incredibly smooth. As you lead down the back of the neck of the raptor, again, we have quite a few different variations of color included, all very nice and very beautifully painted, and making it look super lifelike, and also giving the Pyroraptor a very flashy appearance. You can see that we have kind of like those dark black streaks, and then the yellow and reddish brown type streaks that just trade back and forth throughout the course of the raptor's neck. And we also have some more tones of color here for the underside. Again, some mixtures of yellows, whites, browns, all kinds of stuff. So color galore for our raptor. As we lead down here into the body a little bit more, you start to see some more kind of finer feathering here. The feathering up here in the neck is a little bit more, I would say, hectic, a little bit crazier, still really nice looking, but just a little maybe fluffier, I guess you could term it, before becoming a little bit more fine as you reach down here into the body. And you can again continue to see the really nice blackish tones, but we actually have like some light hints of maybe like some off-whites and bluish tones down here in the feathers, which looks so cool. Like once you get it in a really nice light and take a look at how nice and beautiful the coloration is and how they've highlighted all of the different feathers with the really nice dry brushing, it's just honestly something to behold. It is breathtaking. Moving down into the arm, you can continue to see that darker coloration again with the nice dry brushing. Beautiful feather detail continues throughout the course of the arm. As we get down here, you can see all kinds of feathers here as we lead out into the arm closer to the hand. Of course, you have articulation within the arm and hand area so that you have the feathers that can kind of move and stuff. And similar to the face, you see how we have like a stripe of the black, then a stripe of like the yellow, then a stripe of the black, then a stripe of the yellow, and then we also have white tips here for the feathers, which even those are nicely dry brushed out and have kind of like an iridescence type of a look to them, which looks awesome. And in fact, they've kind of dry brushed a lot of the feather detail out on this raptor with sort of a glossy paint, which allows it to in general have kind of like that realistic look as far as feathers and the shine that they have, that iridescence type look, which I really, really love. The underside of the arm sports, again, a similar coloration. Doesn't seem quite as bright and flashy as what you see out here, but very similar. And again, we have the tones of the browns and then the blacks, and then of course the white. They're that kind of off-white coloration that outlines the tips of the feathers. You can also see the hands are very nicely sculpted, and we also have very nicely painted nails with a black, and that's really cool if you look at just in general the arms right there and the hands. Like the hands are a blackish coloration, but the nails are a different shade of black. So they didn't go the lazy way and just kind of paint them all black and then just call it a day. Like they actually, of course, put the extra amount of work in and the extra amount of paint work in and painted the nails out, specifically to look like nail paint and not just blend with the rest of the hand. And those nails have a very nice shine to them as well. Moving a little further back into the body, you start to see more feather detail here in the stomach region, as well as some really nice reddish brown shades of color that have also been dry brushed over with that blues so that we can blend those colors together very nicely. We have more yellow and brown and off-whites down here in the lower part of the stomach region into the underside of the raptor, leading back into the leg. You can see the thigh and calf are very nicely sculpted out. Even though it's covered in feathers, you can kind of get an idea of some muscle definition there slightly. You'll also see some, again, different varying shades of browns and blacks, and then some more of that kind of glossy looking white here in the rear of the thigh. As you lead down into the calf region, you can see a somewhat different look as far as the appearance to the feathers goes, but again, you even have a little hint of like gold in here before transitioning to a silver the further down you get. So more color variation as usual. These figures are always jam-packed with beautiful color. Leading down into the foot, you see some beautiful skin texture to our raptor, as well as a very nice dry brushing that has been applied so that the skin texture just pops so beautifully throughout. Very nice realistic tone with a yellow and then kind of been dry brushed with a white, and also seems like there's a brownish wash included. So you have, again, as per usual, lots of color variation, making it look really lifelike. You also have articulation in the toes and everything, of course, when it comes to these raptors. They are crazy articulated, but you can see some very nice paintwork for the nails, and look at how precise and picture perfect that nail paint is. It is just so awesome to see how high quality these figures always are. Very nice shine as well to the nails. As always, I almost dropped the poor guy. Leading out into the tail, again, you have that really nice, very long tail, completely filled with gorgeous plumage. As we lead out to the tip of the tail, you can see that we have kind of like browns that run along the edge of the tail, blacks in here with some really nice dry brushing, but then once we reach the tip of the tail, we have that really beautiful kind of shiny white coloration that circles around the outer edge of the tail. On the underside, we have a mixture of whites and yellows, and also that kind of brighter, kind of glossy white or metallic white that circles around the outer side of the tail. But we transition back here to the underside with a mixture of like reddish browns, orangish browns, and yellows and whites, and all kinds of different coloration. Of course, the other side is going to look pretty much just like what we had seen on the initial side, because it is a superposable raptor, completely articulated in every aspect, every sense of the word. So you're not really going to see too much difference over here, any more so than what we had seen on the initial side, but you can make out the fact that the paintwork is super precise, super beautiful, and very consistent with what we had seen on the initial side. And then we've got our base, and the base as well looks really cool. We have many different tones of color for the base, an incredibly realistic textured appearance to the base itself, with a few stones and stuff laying around here and there. Some slight hints of maybe some vegetation with like some greens and stuff showing up here and there. And again, lots of different tones of like browns and reddish browns and everything to complete the entire scene, the entire diorama of our Pyroraptor and the terrain that it lived. A gorgeous looking base as always for our Pyroraptor, and honestly as high quality as it could possibly get when it comes to a small base like this, just helping to really create a very nice visual of your Pyroraptor running along. So let's go ahead, get it on the base, and check out the entire thing together. So there is our Pyroraptor on the base, looking like it's just running along, maybe darting down to grab itself some sort of a small animal to eat. And it just, again, looks so cool once you actually have the raptors on the base. It is just one of the most visually appealing things that I can imagine. Just a beautiful image taking you straight back to when this Pyroraptor lived, and basically allowing you to time travel and catch a glimpse of what prehistoric times would have looked like when this dinosaur was in fact alive. As far as the articulation of our raptor goes, there is a lot, so be prepared for that. More than the Ceratopsian series, you had a ton with these raptors. So you can see, of course, the articulation in the jaw. You also have the articulation in the tongue. We have pointed that out already. You have articulation in the head and neck region in numerous different areas. It's a little stiff, actually, in the first spot right here. But you can see there are quite a few different areas of articulation as you run down the course of the head and neck region of the raptor, even all the way down here into the body. Right before we hit the body, again, some really super nice articulation, which allows you to have a lot of mobility with the head of your Pyroraptor and create many different scenes and positions for your raptor. I love that nice turn like in the neck right there. That looks so cool. And then we have articulation here in the shoulder area, as well as the elbow, and then down here in the wrist. So lots of articulation, which can also come out away from the body, so you can have your raptor attempt to learn to fly, something that it obviously couldn't actually do. We have articulation in the midsection right here, which can, again, help to turn the body, give you even more display options as far as your raptor goes. We have articulation in the hip, as well as the knee, and then in two different areas down here, as well as the toes, which they can swivel. You can see that swiveling right there. You also have articulation in the toe right here with the sickle claw, and you can, again, take those toes off. These toes are more open. There are toes that are closed that you can trade them out for and, alter the appearance of your raptor slightly. And then you also have articulation here in the tail, which you can see can swivel very nicely, and then articulation right here in the tail. And the tail itself is with a bendable wire, so you can bend the tail to position exactly where you want it, however you would like to display your raptor. We also have this type of a connector to have your raptor sit on, maybe a little bit easier than the one that I have on currently, but again, you have two different options as far as that goes as well. And then as far as a size goes, obviously a raptor isn't standing as tall as it possibly could, but it's at a pretty good height. For a height, you're looking at around the 5-inch range or closing in on 13 centimeters. And for a length, you are looking at about you can't see it in the camera because I have it in a bad spot, but about 10 3/4 inches or around the 27.5 centimeter range. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pachylovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Pyroraptor from the Beasts of the Mesozoic line, helping to show you that it absolutely sports a very nice, very impressive size for sure in comparison to the figures that we have before us. On top of gorgeous sculpt and paint, you get a very nice and very sizable raptor as well. And then for another completely random comparison, we have some of the Ceratopsian series with the Xenoceratops and Zuniceratops in comparison to our Pyroraptor to help show off what the size is of the raptor in comparison to a few of the Ceratopsians from the Beasts of the Mesozoic. So this fan's choice version of the Pyroraptor is definitely one of my favorite raptors that they have in their line. It's just such a really nice, very visually appealing looking version of a Pyroraptor. And just in general, being a Pyroraptor is very exciting because, again, I don't remember any company prior releasing one, at least not that I know of. I'm sure there were like some resin kits and stuff out there somewhere, but I don't know of any of the more mainstream dinosaur figure companies that have released a Pyroraptor, even from the point that this was released up until now, except for we know Mattel will be having one coming out. That's not really one of the biggest dinosaur figure producing companies. It's just a Jurassic World toy line. But as far as, again, more accurate interpretations of a Pyroraptor goes, I have not seen one, so having one from the Beasts of the Mesozoic line is incredibly exciting, especially because you know you are getting a very nice, very accurate interpretation of a Pyroraptor. The sculpt, just like every one of the raptors in this line, is extremely highly detailed and overall incredibly realistic. The detailing of the skin is very nicely done. The feather detail is super beautiful looking and very vibrant, really nice, majestic looking feather detail for the course of the Pyroraptor. The paintwork as well is fantastic. As per usual, the Beasts of the Mesozoic line always does a great job of creating very realistic coloration for their figures as far as both the color scheme and the application of the paint. They've done a great job of dry brushing and using washes and everything as always to give you so many different varying tones of color, but also to make sure that all of the detail of the raptor pops in the most beautiful way possible, something that they are exceptionally good at, and they of course pull it off brilliantly throughout this raptor. The articulation as well is top-notch, giving you the ability to create so many different dioramas, so many different poses, and display options for your raptor. One of the most appealing aspects of this line, of course, is the articulation, and the articulation was and is incredible in the Raptor series. So if you are interested in this, I can definitely say it is a very high recommendation from me, as all of the Beasts of the Mesozoic figures always are. I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase this on the Beasts of the Mesozoic website, so make sure you check that link, go buy this fantastic Pyroraptor, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.